Janet Grier, I'm former CEO of Ramsay Health, but to us you're a regional leader who is passionate about the Northern Rivers and a sustainable economy and healthy community. We're blessed to have you in the Northern Rivers, taking leadership, supporting groups and individuals and projects to bring a better life for all of us. I thank you for that, and I appreciate the fact that you've said yes to sitting down with us, for being part of In Good Company Northern Rivers as a project, and exploring a little bit of your story with us today and your role in sourdough and the work you've done in the Northern Rivers and the projects you're involved in. But just to kickstart us, what brought you to the Northern Rivers, and I guess what has it meant to you and your family to be here now for some time?
Thanks, Jan, and thanks for the introduction. I sort of feel a bit almost humble because I don't think I'm anywhere near what you've just said. But having said that, having left Sydney and the humdrum of Sydney and all that sort of thing, I retired up here, so-called retired up here, and we only knew one couple. And how do we start again? How do we start again? And I was very, very scared of my future, to be quite honest, and I felt very humble when I looked around and thought, what can I add? What can I do? And so I actually lost purpose. I remember thinking, well, how can I add anything? And these people know so much, and I'm a nothing. It's amazing to start again. It's quite scary at my age. So I started to make some good friends with people, and two of them in particular were in the same boat as me, and they said, well, what are we going to do? We've got the past, we've got some experience, how can we use that and start again? And we had coffees at Harvest Cafe, and we started to call ourselves the Three Amigos, mainly to sort of just help each other say, well, where do we go? And we said, you know what's in this area? It's amazing. There's so much skill, and there's so much creativity, and there's so many good people here that have been like us, that have done it, and are looking for how can they help others. And so we started to say, well, there's two things here. There's the mentor. Why don't we become mentors? And the second thing is there's a lot of people that are starting up and getting going and so on, the mentees. So between the three of us, the Three Amigos, we said, you know what, we could start an organization just to help each other to get businesses up and going, or not only if they were in trouble, but really how can we get them to expand? So we started a thing called the Sourdough Group. And that was really why I got involved and so on in this area. And it was very exciting. All of a sudden, I was involved with these people with so much creativity and excitement. I suddenly realized that this area has energy, fantastic energy, and it's all based upon people. It's not based upon minerals or anything, or finances and so on. The energy in this area is all based upon people. And we thought, wow, we're on a winner here. We can help people get better. We can use people that have mentors and actually bring it all together. This spark, we can actually produce something which we call 2 and 2 = 5. And that started the Sourdough Group.
And the other E being entrepreneurship, to go with the energy.
Yes.
You would have seen a lot of that here in the Northern Rivers.
Absolutely.
That must have motivated the three of you as well. And those other fellows, what were their names again?
Right. Ian Aldrich.
Yes.
And James Cowley. And James Cowley started this term, the hidden assets of the region. Let's use those people to multiply people's ability.
Yes, it's been a wonderful concept that the three of you did, grow from that little idea. It's become something now over 10 years old and has made a huge difference to the lives of many of those people in the Northern Rivers that were in their startup businesses or possibly had been going for some time and didn't know how to scale.
Yes.
They've been able to tap into the minds of yourself and James and Ian and many others that you've now brought in through to the Sourdough Mentorship Program. I think the three of you saw that there were projects that could also happen here in the Northern Rivers that would be quite fundamental to us growing as a region and growing that economic base sustainably.
Yeah.
Could you talk through a couple of those projects for me?
So what we recognized very early on is that this area was developed through its people, and as I said, not resource and thing, by waves of people that came in, like the surfies, and they brought in this lateral thinking. You didn't have to have much money to sleep on the beaches and so on. And then came in the hippies and the anti-Vietnam people, but still they were very artistic people and very creative. So we said, well, what can we do to bringing the spark together to make it all happen? And I think we realized that we could actually do something special with this community feel for the region. And then we said, okay, one would be the mentoring, but the other one is what sort of projects, we don't want to be just mentoring, what projects could we bring together and so on. What's the spark that we could provide to make it all happen? And one of them, funny enough, we talked about being the Silicon Valley of New South Wales, of where we get people with IT all working together, and they meet at the coffee shops, being Harvest and various other places, and so on and so on. So we thought this could be the Silicon Valley, with IT being the spark. And then we said, what else? And Ian Ulrich said, well, they've got the old railway corridor. That is a regional project that we could get behind and make something for the region, first and foremost for the community, and also to bring jobs and everything like that. And as Jane, you're in business, it's so important to create businesses that create jobs. So we got behind the rail trail. And the third one, we thought, well, is all the people in this area, look how there's a lot of people that fly out of here to do their filming. We've got people that are writers, filmers, etc., etc. They go out. Why can't we, if we put a studio here, this is the spark, we can build a film industry here. The IT things has never taken off because we didn't have that center, like the Silicon Valley, for instance, had Stanford University. Mm-hmm. So people went to university to learn about IT and all that thing, and then they met in their coffee shops, and if you wanted to do a startup, you did it near Stanford University and so on. So that never took off, but the rail trail's still going. And I believe the studio project will happen one day. It needs a lot of help from government, but I think the studio will be built, and then we will become a film industry. So you always need that kernel of a spark, and I think we've got it there for the studio, and definitely the rail trail one day will be a great success.
Well, that's the thing about economic development. It's a long game with lots of innings, and you do have to have perseverance, and you do need that leadership, and you need the elders and the mentors that can keep the confidence going for those that are busy on the wheel, and that's what yourself and James and Ian have always done. I mean, and I will mention that Ian was a mentor, personal mentor, and professional mentor for me, and a great
so
loss.
Was James, wasn't he?
And James also, and then you've stepped in to have the critical conversations with me, and I know many others as well. And what we have is a shared passion for the Northern Rivers and what can be achieved here. Yeah. We appreciate so much that we do live in this place of paradise. How long have you been in the Northern Rivers for now?
About 12 years.
About 12 years. Yeah. So you've obviously seen some change as well, and growth and I guess change of attitudes through that time. If we had a business that was outside of the region at the moment looking to come in and establish in the Northern Rivers, what would you be saying to someone that had that consideration?
So if it's in the service industry or something that needs people, creative people, people that... creative people and so on, that's the type of business that does well here.
Yeah.
So if you're, and by the way, COVID has proved that people can work from home.
Yes.
So maybe the IT one day will still happen.
I think we should revisit it.
Yes, I think so, because this area has the people. You just got to bring them together and get that spark, and 2 and 2 equals 5. That's what I've always said. So the type of industry, a type of business that does well here is where you need creative people.
Yes.
So I would say if you've got that, and today a lot of them can work from home, you've got a success story in this region.
And I think we will see the fruits of your labour. Definitely, will bear fruit in terms of the rail trail. We now have the Tweed line nearly finished, and it's absolutely amazing. And I think what that's showing people is this is real. Something we'd been talking about for a number of years, and influencing and talking to ministers and government agencies, and so many conversations I know that you've had to now see that construction happening. It's really going to be a game changer for the visitor economy in the Northern Rivers, and it will.
Absolutely, it will be.
And it's 132 kilometres eventually. It's going to actually create that industry that yourself and James and Ian always envisaged. And what was that full vision? How did you see that playing out?
Well, first of all, it's pointless starting something that you don't believe in, and you've got to have a cause. And when Ian Ulrich said, I've just been to Otago, and their rail trail has a huge success. Otago was a down and out area, and today it's booming because of the rail trail. We said, well, here we're sitting with it. Why don't we do exactly that? And in each case where the rail trail has been provided the seed money by government, it has taken off. So we said, let's do it here. But what I like about the rail trail, it's got a few aspects, and one, you would like this one, is it's regional.
Yes.
It'll be an asset that'll bring the whole region together under one roof. Because we tended to have been in the past Byron, and that's where the energy is and so on. But this is going to be regional. The second thing is it's community. It's going to bring lots of communities together, and it's also about families and health and all that. And also it's a very green project because we're going to rewild the corridor with trees and things like that. And it's going to get people out. The reason why the environment is so well looked after in New Zealand. Why? Because they've realized that is a huge plus for their economy. So that's exactly what this will be for the economy. So the last reason why, and I put this as last, is it's going to produce businesses along the way that are going to prosper and bring jobs.
Yes.
And that's what's needed in the Lismore area, for instance.
Yes.
I think that's going to be the thing that's going to spark the regeneration of Lismore. But it's the whole region that we're talking about. And then it's 132 kilometres, but there's all these things that come off it. Like we're talking to the Ballina Council about them doing a loop all the way around and coming back here, and that's 35 kilometres in itself.
Wow.
And all these different places will come off it. For instance, for Aboriginal heritage and everything for the region, we've got some groups, Aboriginal people who want to start weekend tours of where they were and and all about their history. There's so much that comes out of this one project for the region.
The one project is just going to deliver and develop so many opportunities for our region. And as you may know, we've done quite a lot of work over the last 2 years on the Northern Rivers New South Wales brand.
I know.
And
I've been to some of your workshops.
You have.
Yes.
And it needs to be attached to something as well. So Barossa, obviously, wine.
Yeah.
When we talk about the values for the Northern Rivers, it does always come back to the people and our natural asset.
Yes.
But I think that when people get to explore the region at that level, at a trail level, the heart will even be further developed and exposed for that connection to brand. So it's something I'm really excited about, that it could. The project will strengthen our brand as well as a region, as people will get to explore all of our natural assets at that ground level. They will see the produce, the food, the provenance of our region.
And the greening of the area. The greening should be behind this 100% because it's using the beautiful environment, opening it up to the community and to tourists. It's fantastic for us.
Well, the tag for the brand is connecting to community. You need to be able to do that, and
what else can do that?
This is a perfect way, absolutely perfect way. And so your other passion project is the Byron Studios, and I know you've worked very closely with one of our other business leaders in Will Gammon. And so speaking of a business leader like Will, how has someone like Will inspired you and kept you motivated for being that hidden asset?
Well, he goes into the category of so much creativity. in this region. And here's Will, who started as a small business, has now grown and grown. He's got all the people around him. I just take my hat off to someone like him, who's a small businessman and has grown a big organization in a very short time. So he inspires me. I don't think I inspire him. I just think that's the type of person that does so well in the area just based upon their basic ability to do something and get good people around him. And that's exactly what he's done. And I think he's going to go from strength to... And what I like about his business is, I know it's called Byron Studio, but the studio is going to be in Austinville.
Yes.
And he's already opened his big branch in Ballina. So he's looking regional as well.
Yeah. And I mean, how important do you see it being? I know maybe I'm a little biased because our organisation is all about the movement of business and industry and linking arms and going forward together.
Yeah.
But both of those projects have required people linking arms and going forward to advocate with government to get that financial support, because there's so far that industry can go, but we really do need the doors of government to open to support us.
Yep.
Have you found that network that we have in the region, the connections that we have, to be important?
I think if government's going to give you money, they've got to feel it's going to be well spent. They're not just going to hand it out for everything. And if you don't have the people to actually see through the project, they're not going to give you the money. So you've got to get all your ducks in a row before you go to government. And if you don't have that, they're not going to give money. It's been very hard to get money because, quite rightly, they really analyse and say, is this going to be wasted or not? It's taxpayers' money. People forget it's not their money, it's our money. And so you've got to have those people behind the project to prove that money won't be wasted. I just want to mention the rail trail, for instance. A very good example is that it's made up of all sorts of people, political persuasions and so on. I don't know who's a Green on it and who's a Labour and who's a National and so on and so on.
We're a rainbow.
Who cares? They are just so committed to it. And that's what you find in this area. It's a meshing of all the different types of people. And that's why it survived. People say, how are you still going on that? Well, it's because of the people that are in this organisation that are just so passionate. And they all meld together. So you need those sort of people for government to get behind it. And I think one day we will find... The next stage is to get it to Byron. And
yes.
I think we'll get that money very soon.
Well, I know down the other end of the line, by the way, from Casino...
The Byron Studios is in that category. I think the government will wake up to, wow, this is a project that is good for the region.
And I do believe in there being the right time and place. And
Absolutely.
we've been through, obviously, previously bushfires and then a global pandemic and now another weather event. The Northern Rivers does need to catch a break, and we need those catalyst projects to enable us to really move forward. The rail trail from a visitor economy perspective, Byron Studios from the creativity. Yep. We've always had this beautiful emerging food production and, what I would say, it's really special value add that we do in our food industry here in the Northern Rivers.
Yes.
Such a diversity.
Look at bookies and people like that. Yeah.
Exactly. A diversity of employment that comes through there as well. But it's all come off the back of that entrepreneurship and I'm sure that's what you connected with coming out of a huge organisation like Ramsay and such responsibilities. Do you now, 12 years later, feel that you wake up differently than when you first came?
Well, I've got to say the first few years, and it took a bit of time, I felt no purpose. You just wake up and say, well, the phone's not ringing. How come? What about me? What about you? When you run a big organisation,
yes,
you don't realise how much that becomes part of your personality,
your identity.
But today I've got so much energy out of it. But it's the people. I've always been a people person, and I've just found this area is fantastic. If you like people and you like services, using people and so on, this area is fantastic. So I'm a different person now, but I tell you, the first few years, and that's why sourdough really fitted into something that I needed right then to get involved with the people.
And I'm sure if I spoke with the other mentors that sit in that hidden asset and that they've come to the Northern Rivers, and I speak now to them about their role and involvement with sourdough, with Business New South Wales, with other organisations and the business and industry leaders here, they would say the same.
Yeah.
It's given them purpose. They probably extended lives, even I would go so far as to say. Pat, we meet people in our lives and you think that person has a book in them. I know that you have a book
I keep
in
trying
you.
to start this book, but never get very far, unfortunately.
What do you think the précis might say on the back cover?
A bit of a larrikin who did quite well.
I love it. I would read that book. I look forward to reading that book. We've talked about community and also family, so I just want to finish off and saying, how important has your family been to you and your life's journey, and I guess, and sort of continuing to motivate and support you as well, because as that larrikin, it can be challenging sometimes, I'm sure, for the family. But how do they feel about what you're doing, and how do you feel now with your family?
That's a very good
forward?
question. And if somebody was starting out now, was starting business or whatever, wanted to say to me, I want to do well in life, whatever. The first thing I'd say was make sure you get into something that you really enjoy doing.
Yes.
Because then you'll go the extra mile. You'll go and do things to be able to get better at what you're doing and so on, and you accept that it's not going to be that easy. But if you do something just for the money and so on, to me, I couldn't do that. So I was very fortunate. I realized very early on I need people for me to be successful. I'm not very clever myself or anything like that, but put people around me and get people motivated and so on. That's been my success. So the first thing is, I was very lucky. I found that people being my success, but secondly, getting into a service industry that suited me, and that happened to be healthcare. So putting something back into people and so on. So, and the third thing I would say to them, just accept there's going to be tough times. You remember the good times, but it's the tough times that actually make you. And I think back, starting again with nothing, and some many tough times at Ramsay's and so on. It's the tough times that actually make you, and you've got to prepare yourself for the tough times. And the people that are successful are the ones that get better by going through the tough times. So I said, I've said to people, don't let a crisis go to waste. Get in there and be a leader in crisis, because you get remembered in crisis times more so than when everything's going well.
Yeah.
Your question is very, very relevant to a lot of people in business and so on. They get caught up in what they do and they love it, and they get this feeling of I'm the greatest and so on and so on and so on. I am very strong now saying to people going through business and so on, get a balance in life. I didn't. And if there's one thing I regret, is that I didn't get to know my family enough and come along. They come with me and me come with them, my wife and my children, and I was so busy pretending, I suppose, to be successful and so on. But I would say, and I say this to my sons, get a balanced life. Get a balanced life. Don't leave your family behind, because one day you'll be like I was. Where's everybody? Nobody knows me. And, my family, are they still remembering me? And so on and so on. A balanced life is so important. That's what energizes you. I didn't see it as that. So my bit of wisdom is make sure if you're a business person or whatever you're doing in life, make sure you have a balanced life.
The best advice from one of the best mentors that I know and feel so privileged to be in the company of. Thank you so much,
Thanks, Jane.
Pat Grier.
But it's people like Jane that makes this area genuine.
It's a collaboration. It's all of us together, and I think that's what makes the Northern Rivers so amazing. We've got the best people, and you're right on the top of that list of best people, Pat. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jane.
Thank you.